This is Claire from the London Dojo. Claire, what made you come to the seminar today?
Well, I've been practicing Naginata for coming up to a year and a half now, and it's the perfect opportunity to meet everybody else that practices in the country, through Europe, and also we get to practice with a top grading sensei, which is Helen Nakano sensei today.
And what do you think you've learnt from the seminar so far?
Oh, there's so much, so many basic things that you just, as you progress in your Naginata training, you realise there are more facets and more levels to pay attention to, and it becomes more and more and more attention to detail. So we've focused on a lot of that, and I feel it's really benefited my practice.
What made you actually start Naginata in the first place?
Well, that was actually thanks to my husband, Conrad. He practices kendo, and he told me that before the kendo class there's actually a Naginata class, and I'd always wanted to do something, so I thought I'd come along and see what it was like, and well, I was hooked.
So this afternoon we have Eduardo from Portugal with us. Eduardo, why did you decide to come to the seminar today?
Well, it's pretty close to Portugal. It's the closest that I can get to Portugal, and to train with several more people that I'm used to, because in Portugal we don't have many people. We're only 2, 3 at the moment. So it's a nice opportunity to do Naginata with new people, to meet new people and to see their way of doing Naginata, which is a good practice for me.
Excellent. And what do you think you've learnt at this seminar?
I think I learned lots of things. I learned lots of things. I really needed to practice with different people, so we can do Shikaki Oji like hundreds of times with the same partner, but it's not the same thing. Not the same thing to do hundreds of times with 1 or 2 people, always the same, than it is to do like dozens of times with several dozens of people. So it's much more efficient to do this kind of practice. So I really enjoyed it doing like Shikaki Oji with different people, and all the exercises that we did about Kion and like Jogiburi. So I think that Jogiburi has improved a lot during the seminar, and all the Kion was really nice. It was really nice to do all these exercises, and the kata exercise where we did it really fast was really good. So it's a nice exercise that I can take it back to Portugal and try it with other people and see how that goes.
This is Shuko from Okinawa via London. Shuko, why did you come to the seminar today?
I live in London and I joined Naginata with them, so I thought it's quite a good opportunity for me to join and, well, possibly support them in a way. So, and also I can learn some from like watching people as well.
What do you think you've learnt from the seminar?
Especially 6, 7, 8. As a high school Naginata player in Japan, and we didn't actually practice a lot of 6, 7, 8. So we actually spent a lot of time doing 6, 7, 8, and then looking at sensei point out other people's mistakes, and I kind of learn a lot for myself as well.
And you say you started learning at high school. What made you actually want to take up Naginata in the first place?
Well, I started actually when I was 5 years old, because my granddad was kendo teacher, and him and Naginata Association, like a top woman, was an old friend. So he wanted me to start Naginata then, and stopped doing a little bit. Like about 6 years I stopped doing it, but in junior high school they had Naginata club, so I restarted it in junior high school.
So it sounds like you didn't really have much choice, but you enjoy doing it.
Yeah, when I started at 5 years old, it wasn't really my choice, and I really hated going to practice, and the sensei is really strict. But by the time I was 12 years old, I kind of wanted to do it again. So at that time I was really passionate about it, and I really want to spend more and more time practicing.
So we have here John, and he's been practicing Naginata for a couple of years. John, why did you start Naginata?
It's a very confusing answer, because one of the people I was training with got in touch with Sensei Rachel, and he organised that Sensei would come up and train with us. So that was my first actual physical introduction to Naginata, and it's something I'd read about and heard about and I was generally interested in, and so that was it, you know, keeps me off the streets and something to do on a Friday evening.
And you say Rachel came up. Where exactly are you based?
On the Wirral, which for those who don't know is across the River Mersey from Liverpool. So she came up, she's been up to my house about twice, and then she's been training in the very broad area. I've been to York, Sheffield, Chester, you know, and those are the main places I've actually been.
Okay, so you've been at a training session for like a day and a half. What's the thing you think that you've learnt most during the session?
Well, it's one of those things. It's hard to say, I have learned this, or I have learned that. You've learned so many small points, and you think you can do joke buri until you come here, and then you find out that you can't do joke buri, you know. And it's applying what you've learned. I mean, one of the things is, you know, is your hand, and I've been told that my hand should be basically one fist behind my body. And you say, okay, so at the moment, and I'm thinking, well, when is it in the correct position? So I have to have a look, which of course is really bad, but it's the only way you can check yourself, you know, if you haven't got somebody there all the time to check you.
Sandrine, it's great to have you here with us today. What made you decide to come to the seminar?
First, I was last year at the seminar in Holland, and this year couldn't go, but I said, why not going to Cardiff? And I'm here to have my grade examination too.
So you're excited about grading, or are you a bit nervous?
A lot nervous.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be fine. What lessons have you found that have been most interesting that you've learnt here in the last day or so?
Oh, I think the work on Shikakeoji was really interesting and really helpful.
That's good. Well, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
I have with me Bruno from Italy. Bruno, what made you come to the seminar today?
Well, first of all, the grading. It's been almost a year since my last grading, and also, well, the chance obviously to practice with other senseis. You know, Nakano and Hiromi. I really like the opportunity to do that.
And what do you think you've actually learnt from them?
Well, many things, hard to say. You know, the attention to some little details. Obviously, every sensei has a little, you know, attention for a particular aspect, and so I try to, you know, combine all that.
Okay. So lots of things that you've got to take on board and remember when you get back to practice.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. What made you actually start Naginata in the first place?
This is a really long story, so I tried many martial arts, and I also got the chance basically to try Naginata as well, and Kendo, and was wavering. Then I chose Naginata because it's fun, mostly.
Well, we're glad to have you with us, and I hope you enjoy the seminar.
Thank you very much.
What have you learned while you've been here?
I suppose it's an issue of what I've not learned. I mean, I started out really only knowing the first and second Shikake-oji sequences, really improved on my fourth sequence, learned a good lot of the fifth one, and I think I'm starting to get the principles of the third one.
What made you start Naginata?
Well, at university I did a history degree and then ended up doing a course on heroes, and I did a paper on female heroes, and I chose to do it about heroes in East Asia. And I was very interested in Japan anyway, so I focused, I researched Japanese female heroes, and I learnt about the female bushi, like Nakano Takeko and Tomoe Gozen. And I learnt about the Naginata and how actually it was a very subtle weapon really, and how it was very frequently used by women to make up for the fact that they're obviously smaller than men, and so the longer reach of the Naginata helped them a lot. Lots of fascinating things, but also when last year I went to Trafalgar Square and I saw the Matsuri and the brilliant Naginata session. It was so good I actually took some photographs in the video sequence, which I'm not sure if Paul has actually seen, but that was him and Rachel, I believe. So at some point they might have to have a look at that and start beating me around the head for taking unsolicited footage of them.
And today in Cardiff we've got Helen Nakano sensei with us. Helen has been leading the British seminar this weekend, and I'd like to say first of all thank you very much to Helen for coming and being with us. Have you enjoyed the seminar?
I have enjoyed it tremendously, Paul. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, thank you for being here. It's been very good. What have you thought about the students you've been teaching this weekend?
I am totally amazed at them. I cannot believe how well some of them have done without a teacher. And the fact that people like yourselves and Rachel and some other teachers that are involved have brought these people along and have encouraged this martial art of Naginata just makes me feel wonderful.
Well, you've come a very long way from California. What did you think of the weather here in Wales?
That's a good question. I've seen a lot of rain. But I loved it here. I really did. It's been fantastic. The weather is cold, brisk, but it's beautiful. Beautiful country, and I've enjoyed it.
And what would you suggest as a key lesson for people to take away? If there was one thing perhaps they should remember from all of the things you taught us this weekend?
I hope they would think about the heart of Naginata, and really I think with Naginata, you're able to make so many wonderful friends and new acquaintances, and I think it's so important. It's part of the martial arts.